I wanted to make this video today because I realized that as I do all of my sewing, I tend to have like a running tally in my head of how much I'm actually spending on a given project. We are a one income household, but I still love to wear beautiful clothing, which is why sewing is just, you know, my perfect hobby. So yeah, I just thought that it would be really fun to share with you just a breakdown of everything that I made, what that tally is, how much I actually spent on my clothing in the last 6 months, which I think the number will surprise you, and then share with you my best tips for being a budget seamstress, how to make beautiful garments and not spend a bunch of cash in the process. I think it's really easy to get caught up in sewing with all of the beautiful fabrics, patterns, notions, tools, all of that. But if your goal is to save money by making your own clothes, it's definitely possible to do that. Before we get too far into this video, if you could just hit the like button if this is the type of content that you love and appreciate, that would mean so much to me. So the first thing I made was an Anthea blouse. I'll just write blouse here. And that was $3 in fabric. It was the checkered one. I got the fabric from a thrift store. Plus, I bought the Anna Allen pattern, but I made it 2 times. So I'm going to divide the cost of the pattern, which was $14 by 7, not by 7, by 2, which is $7. So the cost of that blouse for me was $10. Okay. And then I made that same blouse again, but with some linen fabric, and I spent about $24 on the fabric and again $7 on the pattern. So that comes to $31. Okay, then as far as dresses go, I'll just write rouge here. I made the rouge inspired dress, and that one I used a thrift store fabric. That was about $3. I bought an interfacing and I bought a lining fabric, and those were both from Walmart. So this cost me $9. And then I also made a Madewell inspired dress. And that one I spent a little more on, but I did get the pattern, not the pattern. Well, I got the pattern on sale too. I got the fabric on sale from Joann's in the clearance section for about $15. And I got a new look pattern marked down for about $3.99 or $4. So that dress cost me $19 to make. And then my skirt that I love so much from some antique remnants, that fabric cost me $8, and I didn't spend anything on patterns. So that dress alone, or skirt alone, was $8. And then when I made the matching set from Tiana's Patterns, that fabric was also from a thrift store. And I spent about $6 on that fabric. And I used free patterns. So again, just $6. So in total, the amount that I spent in order to make these 6 items, or I guess the set is 2, but whatever. To make this, it was $83. Okay, so I spent $83, and you might be wondering, well, what about like thread, elastic, notions, that kind of stuff? I'll kind of address that in the video, but those are all things that I have built up a really good kind of back catalog of, I guess. So those aren't things that I ever really have to spend money on. Here I got some special interfacing and special lining fabric, but otherwise I tend to just have that stuff on hand at this point as a seamstress. So yeah, $83 is what I spent. And then I did some internet hunting and saw that the average woman spends about $100 to $200 a month on clothing. So I just went to a middle number there. So if we just go to $150, let's say that we go in between there and it's $150 a month on clothing. And I'm doing this for 6 months. This is covering the last 6 months. That is $900 that would be spent on clothing. However, I spent only $83 So you can see that the amount that I saved there is actually theoretically $817, which is amazing. And then coming back here to this number, there's my iron. Okay, it's done. Coming back to this number, that number 83, if I divide that by 6, which would be for the 6 months that I was sewing these items and not buying any other clothing, I actually break it down. It was $13.83 a month versus $150 or even $100, right? Or even $50. It's just like amazing how with some planning and some, I guess, frugality, how much you could save by making your clothes and making custom beautiful clothing at the same time. So I love seeing that type of breakdown. I thought that was really cool to actually see on paper. And yeah, I wanted to share that with you. So now let's get into how you can have these same types of savings as you shop and just like how you approach your sewing. Okay, so those are like totally the kinds of numbers that I nerd out on. I just love breakdowns. You can also factor into something like that, like cost per wear, which I'll do with my like ready-to-made clothes. If I think this is kind of expensive, but I know I'll wear it a lot, and then I can sort of break down like how often I wear it, and that sort of increases the value to me, because if I know I'm going to wear it a lot, then it's like, you know, an obvious good purchase basically. But if you're sewing your own clothes and like, let's say this blouse I've worn at least 13 times, so I've already gotten a cost per wear of like at least $1 per wear out of this blouse, if that makes sense. Anyway, I'm gonna get into some of my just favorite like, I guess, tips on how I got started sewing things that were really cost effective. So the first thing that I would say is that you should just take as many donations as you can. When you're getting started, you could even put out like a Facebook post that was just something like, I'm starting to sew. If you have any extra sewing stuff that you don't use anymore, please send it my way. I would appreciate it so much. I bet you would get plenty of women who are either avid sewers but have stuff they're not using anymore, or people who tried it and didn't like it to just send you their stuff. And once you have a really great like backlog of you know, a variety of thread colors, elastics, buttons, then those are the types of things that you don't have to buy that often, and that can like really save you just money, and yeah, just be like a really great way for you to have a stash going. I would also say that I would really familiarize yourself with fabrics and with quality fabrics, so that when you are out and about, if you're at Joann's or you're at the thrift store, when you come across a fabric, you know, like, this is 100% a good deal. And I would say that there are times where I love to, I guess, like, I don't always buy a fabric for a specific pattern. Sometimes I just buy a pattern because I like it, and sometimes I buy a fabric because I like it, and I just assume that down the line a fabric that I really love will kind of speak to me and let me know what it's going to be. Hopefully that doesn't sound too woo-woo, but so just having that mindset of like, okay, I found something quality, I'm gonna go ahead and buy it now because it's a good price and I know that I will use this later. I try not to do that too often right now because I do have a pretty good stash of fabric, but there are times where I'm kind of like in a stash building phase if I feel like I don't have as many fabric options as I would normally like to have. Another thing that I think is important is to sort of have a running list, like either on your phone or in your head, of the types of projects that you want to make, so that when you do see something that would work perfectly and it's a good price, you just go ahead and buy it, and don't think down the line like, oh, I wanted to make that blouse and that fabric at Joann's would have been so perfect for it. you know, it was in the sales section and then you go back and it's like totally gone. I mean, it's even worse when it's at a thrift store, because if you don't get it, it really is gone. Whereas if you find something you like at Joann's, you can always look for it on the app or whatever. But it's better to have sort of a loose idea of maybe the feeling that you want for a garment, so that you can find something that just fits the vibe, as opposed to, you know, making like a very exact replica of a garment, if that makes sense. So there are definitely times where I want a very specific fabric and I'm willing to pay money to find that, but I find that I'm able to actually save if I have sort of a general list and a general idea of what I'm looking for, because that flexibility mindset just sort of, yeah, helps me to think a little more creatively, I guess. So another tip is to just research. So basically, like, I don't know, if I have something that I want to make, I will spend so much time looking for the perfect pattern. I'll compare patterns, I'll compare fabrics. I just spend a lot of time really fine-tuning what I'm going to make, and in doing that, I'm able to find the very best look. Like, I don't settle. I'm able to find exactly what I'm looking for because I spend so much time just sort of like sifting through stuff. But that also saves me money, because if I find two patterns that are very similar, then I'm able to choose the one that's gonna cost a little bit less. Or if I find a fabric on a website and then find it somewhere else, you know, on Etsy or something like that, then I can choose the one that's gonna be a little bit more cost effective. And I do have a final bonus tip for you, and that is to just find a sewing buddy. Having a sewing buddy, just having like a BFF that you can bounce ideas off of. That person might have found something that you hadn't found. That person might have a pattern that they want to trade with you, or have a tool that you don't have, or a notion that you need. Like, having that friend that you can sort of reach out to creatively and as a resource, like, that is so invaluable. So I definitely recommend just, I know it can be hard to find, but your sewing buddies will be like absolute gold. And those sewing buddies might be somebody just on Instagram or on YouTube as well. It might be somebody that you never actually meet, but just having someone that you can consider as a resource is, yeah, like I said, super invaluable. All right, you guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Again, if this is the type of content that you like, then go ahead and like it. That would mean so much to me. And yeah, next time I think I'm going to have sort of a roundup of some of the garments that I plan on sewing for summer. So please stick around, and that video will be next. Okay, talk to you later. Bye.